Check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Turn it up, turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning, the time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Right now, yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum.
Hello, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach, and this is the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. We are recording from the Creative Density Studios in downtown Denver, Colorado, and of course, we always have our producer and main man, Mr. Jonathan Winston. What's up, Jay?
Oh, man, another day in paradise. I can't even say too much, man. You just got a chance to record some more episodes, learning more and more about the market and just real estate in general every day. So with me, it's all good.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, we're so glad to have you here. I appreciate it. And so glad to have you guys here, too. You know, we have been recording a lot of episodes of the show, you know, for one thing, because so much is going on in the foreclosure marketplace, but also because we're getting asked a lot of poignant questions. And I want to point out that this show is for you guys, right? And I'm certain you've heard that before, but if you're one of the very, let's say, loyal listeners we have to the show, because we got some people out there who catch every single episode, and I appreciate it with great detail, but we get asked some really poignant questions out there, okay? And today's show is entitled One Quick Trick to Help Boost Your Credit Scores to Buy a Foreclosure Listing. Now, I'm giving you the title of the episode before the news article this week because I wanted to point out the article that we're posting actually came from HUD.gov. So the Housing and Urban Development Department posted an article. We always start out with a news article. This was actually published here on Valentine's Day of 2020. That shows how bored HUD is. Can't seem to get a date, so they're out writing articles instead of...
What a loser.
I'm sorry, HUD. We still love you. Anyway, what it mentions is a very common problem that we face all the time. How do I get my credit established in home buying if I can't buy a house? Right? And this is the big struggle. I have to tell you that the largest challenge people have with buying a home is generally not the down payment. That's what you would think, right? You would think, where do you come up with the money to put the down payment? If you're broke and you don't know where you're starting out, that's not the issue. As a matter of fact, there are foreclosure listings, if you're paying attention here, that you can buy a property for as little as $100 down. Okay, so, I mean, it's not like, I imagine if you can make a rental deposit on a property, which you probably did because you live somewhere right now, then you can almost certainly afford the down payment on a property if you're buying the right property. Now, if you're buying a full retail property, you can do FHA, 3.5% down, conventional, a lot of times 5% down, right? They've got the CHAFA program, which is $1,000 down. You don't need a ton of money for down payment. I know it's a lot of money, but it's not the staggering amount it once was in a previous generation, you know, where our parents were buying houses and 20% down was just the norm. Okay, that day is kind of past. It's much more affordable. Where people really struggle to get into buying property, foreclosures in particular, is the credit score problem. You know, just before the show, we were discussing, you know, building credit, what it takes, and we came up with some tactics to work on that. But one of the most powerful ones is mentioned right here in this article that we're posting, and it says, new report explores problem of credit invisibility among HUD-assisted households. First of its kind study examines reporting rent payments to credit reporting agencies. Now, I want you to stay tuned to the end of this episode, not that you would miss a minute, but if you were going to do something else, I want you to stay tuned because at the end of the show today, we're going to tell you how you can get your rent report on your credit report with our system. We've actually partnered with somebody to help make this work. So we're going to go into details on how it's going to work first, then I'll tell you how to get started, okay? So stay tuned. Here we go. So one of the problems people have is if you haven't established a payment history, it's difficult to buy a house. Now, before you get annoyed with that, because a lot of people are like, well, it's not fair. How do I get started? If they won't give me credit, how do I build credit, right? It's a logical problem, but think about it from the perspective of the lender, okay? You come in with, let's start with the zero credit guys, okay? You just kind of got established. You've never gotten anything on your credit report. Now you're walking into a mortgage lender, a bank or a lending institution with a bunch of money, okay? And you say, I need you to give me $250,000. to buy this house. I promise I'll pay you back. Not only do I promise I'll pay you back, I will pay you back over the next 30 years.
I'm going to be in the same place. You know where I live, dude.
You know where I live. You got my address, right? It seems logical to give me the quote. Do you say why they don't want to do that if you've established no credit history at all?
Yeah, man, they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Exactly, right? So when you're buying your first car, it's a financial enema because you've never done it before, right? When you're getting a credit card, it's a pain in the butt because you've never done it before. What gets substantially easier is when you've done it several times, right? So fear not, my wannabe foreclosure buyers, because there is a way. And I got to be honest with you, we are very hesitant to offer services and products that we don't believe in because, listen, we want to protect you, the listeners of the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, right? So we do our homework, we check some stuff out, and there's a lot of unscrupulous people out in the credit reporting or credit repair business. It's very common. A lot of those are scam artists, okay? So this is an exception here, and HUD is even acknowledging that one way to improve your credit is to report your rent onto your credit score. Right? Now you're thinking, absolutely, right? It's pretty cool. So these guys are called rentreporters.com. And before you rush out and do that, we've worked out a deal with Rent Reporters. I want you to hold on to the end of the show. We got a special deal going where you can go and check these guys out and get a discount by using our affiliate code to get into rentreporters.com. Okay? So hold tight. But the idea behind it is they get all of your information and your landlord's information, and they basically act as an interim between the credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, to report the fact that you're paying your rent on time. Now, this seems a little obvious, right? But if you're not paying your rent on time, don't use this service. Right?
Makes sense.
If you know you don't pay your bills and your landlord's always chasing you for rent, this is not going to make your credit better. It's going to make it worse. But in my experience, most of the people I've talked to have been paying rent on time for years, right? They prioritize that bill because it's where you live.
Of course, makes sense.
So you're going to pay that before you go out partying or go buy that concert ticket or even make your car payment. Because I'll be frank with you, if you're homeless, that car ain't going to be that exciting.
Man, it's going to smell.
You know?
You're going to live in that.
So if you prioritize your rent, if you're a responsible person, but you can't seem to get your credit score where it needs to be, and let's discuss that as well. Where does it need to be, okay? Generally speaking, you need to find yourself in a credit score position of about 620 or better, right? That's sort of the threshold between being real easy to get a loan and starting to get difficult. It can get done below 620. It's doable, but it gets a lot harder, right? And the higher your credit score is, the easier that loan is going to go. Because the lenders are using the FICO score to determine if you're going to be a long-term risk. They have to be in this relationship with you for the entire term of a 30-year mortgage. If you've got a late payment to Blockbuster, which doesn't even exist anymore, right?
Please don't.
You didn't return a video like 5 years ago, but you're convinced you did return it. Now you got a $150 collection on that. You're not paying it on principal. Right? You're about to sell yourself out of the most powerful wealth building tool on the planet, which is real estate ownership, because you won't pay a Blockbuster bill. Okay? And I think that's insane. And I'm saying that somewhat tongue in cheek, but I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I'm not paying that purely on principle. That wasn't my fault. Right? Well, was it your fault? Is it relevant? You've got to get your credit where it needs to be so you can qualify for a mortgage, because if you're going to build wealth, one of the fastest ways to build wealth is through real estate. Right? And you need some proof in that? Well, think about it. What are the two ways to get rich in this country right now? Unless, of course, you've got an incredible ability to act or a wicked jump shot. Right? Unless you're going to go with the fame and fortune route, and be honest with you, if you're pushing that 30 mark, 35, and you haven't hit it yet, I'm not saying you won't. I'm just saying the odds are not with you anymore.
Come on now.
Right?
Be
NFL,
realistic, guys.
They're not going to sign you, right? It's just probably not going to work out. So if that's out, or maybe you're going to make it musically, like I'm still convinced I'm going to get my record deal, right? And it could happen, but I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath, right? So if you're going to try to get wealthy, the two ways to do it, to build wealth in the United States of America, are as follows: the stock market and the real estate market, right? Pretty much every millionaire you've ever heard of built some of that in real estate, right? Or the President of the United States of America, real estate mogul, right? Apple, they build phones? Yeah, but they also own some of the most expensive commercial property in the world. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, McDonald's, they sell burgers. Nope, commercial real estate, right? Their profit margin comes like they get 1 or 2% from the franchisee who owns that McDonald's, but the land it's sitting on belongs to McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
They're huge landholders, okay? So real estate is a great way to build wealth. And buying something that builds wealth below market is kind of a no-brainer way to accelerate your growth. You could go out and buy a retail property and speculate that the market's going to continue to go up despite what's going on with the market today, which would highly suggest that's not going to happen going forward. We're going to see a bit of a correction, but if you want to believe that they're going to continue to soar, that is one way to do it, right? You can buy a house, live there the 30 years, pay it down, hope it goes up in value. That is one theory. Theory two, which is the way I got where I am today, was by buying stuff below market with built-in appreciation, meaning I had equity in the property from the day I owned it, and then it goes up in value from there, okay? For me, that's just more logical. The trade-off is those properties generally need some work, right? And the other thing to note is a lot of times they need so much work they were foreclosed on and are now held by the bank. Hi, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach. One of the things we talk about on the show is the importance of great foreclosure data in helping you to find a great deal on a foreclosure property. But where do you find this data? You're certainly not going to find it on Realtor.com. You can't get it on your local MLS. So we have partnered with data provider foreclosures.com to get you the latest and greatest in foreclosure listings right there in your local market. These properties are not hit the market in most cases, and when they have been foreclosed, gives you easy access to find out more detail so you can get the best deal on a foreclosure property. Getting started is super easy. Head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com and click on the link labeled foreclosure list. Enter your zip code for a free 7-day trial of the best foreclosure listing data available in your local market. These properties are not even on the market yet, so you can get a jump on them and get a great deal. Once again, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach. We'll look forward to seeing you there. So that brings us all the way around to buying foreclosures and what you got to do to your credit to do it, right? Well, if you're just establishing credit, but you're a good tenant, and I really want to focus on that, you're a good tenant. I want you to take advantage of the service from Rent Reporters because you can now get your rental payment history put right there on your credit report. Up to 2 years you can go back and put that on there, and in certain cases, they've seen credit score increases of up to 40 points just by adding on the rental payment history.
Man.
It's huge, right? And it's super affordable, right? Just head on out there, check it out. The best way to get there, by the way, and I told you to stay tuned because I was going to give you some details. We're not quite to the end of the show, but because I know you're sitting on the edge of your seat right now, head to foreclosuredealscoach.com. That's our messenger bot, and then put in the keyword rent. Right? Because that is the only thing we do with rentals here is we help people to boost their credit score by reporting their rental payment history to the credit bureaus. Of all the things you're going to do to fix your credit score, the fastest, most cost-effective, and best way to get results on your credit bureaus is to start reporting your rent to the bureaus. Okay? And this company, through our affiliate relationship here, can help you to get that on your credit report within 30 days. So a couple of points we want to make about credit reporting as it relates to rent. Okay? Number one on that is it's important to note that when you're doing this, once again, if you don't pay your rent on time,
Please don't.
like, it doesn't make any sense to report it, man. Like, don't get this service unless it's going to help. You know what I mean? This is supposed to be a quick trick to boost your credit score to buy your foreclosures, right? Not make it worse, like, because it can make it worse, and I'm truly trying to help you avoid that, okay? But credit is super important in buying foreclosures. Here's the thing. People suspect, and I've been advertising free foreclosure lists and get all the foreclosure in your neighborhood for over a decade now, okay? So I have talked to more people in regards to foreclosure buying than you can imagine. The thing about that is because the properties tend to be in disrepair and are underpriced, there's this mindset that you can have lesser credit to purchase the property, right?
Man, I'm seeing that right now, talking to the people that are inquiring with us.
Right, so there's that mindset, right? Well, those are crappy houses, so if I come in, I haven't paid a bill since 1989, it seems
big
logical they're gonna give me a loan on this property. That couldn't be further from the truth, okay? You don't need better credit to buy a foreclosure than you do a normal house, but you certainly can't have bad credit.
Right.
Okay, your credit needs to be relatively stable. Now, better credit would help because the condition of the property does dictate that only certain lenders will touch that property. And as a result, it is so important to be working with a foreclosure specialist, not just a regular retail agent when you're buying a foreclosure property. Because this is not like a standard transaction. A lot of stuff can go wrong. You could lose your earnest money if you're not careful. You gotta make sure you're prepared, okay? But credit is super important in foreclosure buying. Now, again, the next point I wanna make here is that foreclosure, it doesn't have to require a ton of down payment money, right? You don't have to be a highfalutin investor with 20% down to buy a foreclosure. As a matter of fact, you can get a foreclosure for as little as $100 down from HUD, which is actually how we opened the show today, that article. The HUD program has properties in certain areas that they're trying to get rid of right now that you can buy for as little as $100 down. Right? If you want to find out about those, you got to go out to foreclosuredealscoach.com, click on the foreclosure list, and we'll get you a list of the homes that are available to you for only $100 down. And they're in every market, in every state in the union, they have these. Some states have more than others. They have them in revitalization areas, which is sometimes, not exactly the perfect neighborhood, but the idea is you're trying to get into foreclosure buying, and you want to do so as inexpensively as possible because you're trying to get your first deal done, right? So with that in mind, $100 down makes that easier. Finally, a credit score increase doesn't have to take months and months and months. I can't tell you how many people we talk to who are like, well, I'm gonna do this as soon as I get my credit score up in about 90 days, in 90 to 180 days, I'm gonna get this done, right? They think it's gonna be a months and months process. It doesn't have to be. If you use the keyword rent at foreclosuredealscoach.com, we'll show you how we can take a relatively subpar credit score in the 580, 590 range and turn it into 620, 630 in 30 days or less, so you can be qualified to buy a foreclosure, right? You don't need to wait. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you not to wait because life has a way of getting in the way, okay? When you're planning for something, if you delay it, you put it off, I'm gonna do this when I get my credit right. Listen, they made the credit reporting system deliberately confusing. Right? The idea behind it was never consumer protection, it was lender protection, right?
Okay.
The guys with the money wanted to make sure that you're qualified to have their money. So they made the ability to get your credit score up deliberately deceptive, okay? Now a bunch of stuff has come out trying to simplify that, and Credit Karma came up with this thing where we'll do our own score, which is not near as valuable as the FICO score the lenders use, but at least you'll have an idea on what your score is going to be. But you have to understand the whole credit reporting system is super confusing. Don't try to figure that out on your own, right? You don't go to the dentist and give yourself a root canal, right? There's certain things like people, it's amazing to me how many people want to do it yourself on their credit and find themselves paying off things that actually make their score worse, right? Or reporting their rent to their credit bureaus when it turns out they don't have good rental history, right? There are things you can do to make your credit worse, and I'm just telling you, get some advice here, okay? The average agent, and if you're looking at real estate agents, they only want to talk to pre-qualified buyers who are ready to go out and buy properties right then and there. Right? Generally speaking, agents go so far as having a house in mind they want to sell you, especially when you're talking to a listing agent, right? You see a house and you go, man, I love that. You call the number on the sign. Who does that guy work for? He works for the seller, right? He has no interest in your best interest here, and whether the seller is a bank because it's a foreclosure or a private party, you're at a definite negotiating disadvantage in that spot. At Foreclosure Deals Coach, our team of agents all across the country, we're working to get people prepared for foreclosure buying so when the deal of the century comes in the neighborhood you want to buy it in, you're ready to buy it. Okay? It's a whole different mindset than selling current inventory. Sure, we look at what's available in the market right now and see if there's anything that fits your needs at the moment, but this is more of a long ball thing. So we generally have time to work with you to improve your credit if we need to go the 30 days that we need to get you reporting to rent reporters. But when you're ready, you've got to understand that the best deals in the foreclosure market do not last very long. Okay? If anything hits the market at $50,000, $60,000 below what it's worth, worth, you better believe you won't be the only person there looking to buy it. So you gotta show up prepared to purchase, right? But we work on that preparation prior to getting you to that point so you're ready to go when that house arrives. Okay, it's an entirely different methodology. It's a whole different mindset than what you found in retail agents. And to really be prepared for this, you got to get this right. So here's the bottom line. What I want you to do is head up to foreclosuredealscoach.com, use the keyword rent, R-E-N-T, to get signed up for Rent Reporters. And Rent Reporters is going to help you to get up to 24 months of your rental history reported onto your bureaus. We've seen an increase in credit scores of up to 40 points just by doing this one thing. Okay, you're going to want to use the affiliate link that we're providing because we've negotiated a deal with them. It's such a good deal that they don't want me to mention it here on the show, but it does allow you to get a discount as opposed to going out there on your own, and it gives you the ability to join the Foreclosure Deals Coach community because you're going to be on the way. If you're taking the time out to get the rental reported to your credit bureau, it means you really want to do this, okay? And I want to work with people who really want to do this. Whereas the typical agent just wants ready-to-go buyers, we're here to build wealth, to teach you how to buy properties at the bottom of the market so you can sell them at the top of the market, or you can live in them, or you can turn into rentals, or you can create your empire any which way that you want to. But the first step is going to be to get your credit right. And to get going, once again, you're going to head out to www.foreclosuredealscoach.com, use the keyword rent, R-E-N-T, and we'll get you signed up with Rent Reporters so you can start reporting to the credit bureaus and get your rental history on there. You're going to see an instant increase in your FICO score, and lenders are going to be a lot more comfortable in lending money to purchase a property, especially a dilapidated foreclosure, to somebody that they can see has a habit of paying their rent on time, right? So that's a lot. It's a lot going on. But guys, the point in all of this is we're here to help. This is an educational resource. Well, the best part of this show is when people are asking poignant questions. And this one keeps coming at me. Like, how do I get my credit score going? What do I got to do to get things started? I have no credit, or I've got bad credit, or anything like that. We've been very hesitant to offer credit repair services because it's hard to find reputable companies in there, you know, but in this case, it's very simple. They just hook up with your landlord, they find out what your payment history is, they report it to the bureaus, your score goes up as long as you got a good rental payment history, right? And that's gonna allow you to go onto the market with the confidence that if the right deal comes along in your local market, you're prepared to pull the trigger quickly and get a profitable, nice equity spread on a great foreclosure property in your local marketplace. Is that not awesome?
That sounds great. I'm going to look into that.
Got to look into it, man. And we want to help you with it. So if you have any questions, head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com. We're going to wrap up today because, listen, a lot going on with credit repair and reporting and whatnot. But the key right now is just to start taking action. You know, a lot of stuff is happening. Take it in small doses. If you know your credit is off, let's get the credit part done. Right? If your income is off, let's get the income part worked out, right? Don't try to take on every problem you've got. That's the mistake I see with real estate buyers all the time. I know I've got this, and this I got to get done before I can buy a house. No. One thing at a time, right? And if you know for certain your score is not sufficient, let's get you signed up for Rent Reporters, get you going on that, and then we'll figure out what your next step is, all right? With that, this is Donnie Corum, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, reminding you now and always, don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more of the mindset, methodology, and tools you'll need to invest in foreclosures. Visit foreclosuredealscoach.com and text DEAL to get a list of foreclosures in your area.